Good morning, everybody. Welcome to OPEX Friday. OPEX is today. It is not quadruple or quarterly OPEX. It is just regular monthly OPEX, and it will be today. And with us getting the third typhoon of the week. Third of the week. This one is a serious threat for me, so I'm going to be very quick about this update. And then I am going to join my family and my extended family, who have just arrived yesterday, and show them how we prepare for a direct hit of this typhoon, which will be here on Saturday night, Sunday morning, my time. Enjoy your weekend. So I will start you off first, going back to Monday. Monday, having sent out the email titled OPEX Week with the November 14th SPX 6005-6000 call credit spread. CPI on November 13th, $3, $3.50 likely, possibly seeing $4. As the week progressed on Monday, we went to 6,017. Posted the current all-time highs. $3, $3.50, $4, very acceptable. Yesterday, being Jerome Powell, 3 o'clock, Thursday, November 14th, ran through the email with you as we were 6:30 in the morning, up 7 points, pushing that 59.95, pushing that 6,000. Unfortunately, mainly text because I was traveling, picking up my daughter, who I haven't seen in a few years, and her fiance, who she brought to introduce to me. We've been inside this 60-10-59 box, 59.60 box for a week, inside the full moon window, which started on Tuesday and ends next week, Wednesday, when NVIDIA reports earnings. Two very bullish threats. On the Forex side, yields, DXY, are whispering very loudly inflation, which is a very bearish threat, wider view. Jerome Powell speaks at 3 o'clock, so the end of the session is very likely to be volatile. So understand this as the streak of plus 100% wins this week are piling up. There is no reason to mess that up. Your upside targets, your downside targets with your 59.68, 59.60 downside on support failure. QQQ. They had closed 3 days in a row negative. The most negative consecutive days in a row that we have seen the entire year. Streaks of 3. Yesterday, we got a fourth red, and as you can see, down 30 cents, down 93 cents, down 66 cents, down 3.56. Very much like the Bucky Larson that you were when you first broke your streak. The big blowdown right there, 508.69 being the close, 507.77, taking out the Tuesday Trump win lows of 508.34. All looks nasty. Anyway, continuing through again, very respectful. Thus, be very respectful about both exposure in terms of size and expectations of 6,009 to continue to fail, with us having had just one plus 6,000 close on Monday. Again, 6:30 in the morning, things are looking good. November 8th, November 11th, November 12th, November 13th, we're in the 6,000s every single day. We're holding above 59.60 every single day. And then finishing it off with no, this is not a blind message into Jerome Powell, into OPEX Friday to be bullish. This message is to be cautious and respect that we are in a bullish threat scenario here for fractionally higher. The only reason I point it out is because if you did...
Don't fuck it up!
Well, you again The magic that you are looking for is in the homework that you're not willing to do. And if you overexposed yourself and you threw back all of the profits that you made during the course of the week, 143% Monday, 150% both ways, both days, Tuesday and Wednesday. Your Monday trade for yesterday, 6,005, 6,000, full credit, very obviously, 150%. And then the failure as the alert was posted, get paid $4 and be very respectful about it. So you lost $1 on each contract. Same like we did last week when we were trying to get short on the Trump trade. $1 with a $4 profitability, 400% potential. So now that you guys are bored with that and I can leave you off, I will go on to QQQ. QQQ, 4 red days in a row. Are you going to go out there and say that you're getting a green day today? It is completely up to you. Today is Friday. It's OPEX Friday. It's your money. Do whatever you want. I've shared the big, broad, wide view and where we are in terms of our time dates. Over on the IWM, the Trump trade has virtually completely retraced. 232.75 being the low on November 6th. The lows yesterday took that out at 231.21. There is still a gap to be filled from Tuesday night after they announced Trump won. 3 minus 1% or greater days in a row here, and it's Friday. Friday, the Russell 2000 loves to close green. It's just what it loves to do. So keep your eyes on the Russell 2000. So I will leave you off of this boring spreadsheet stuff and get you on to what's important, and that's your futures. And as I posted there about 30 minutes, 45 minutes ago in the chat room, get ready to start closing your overnight shorts because the futures are oversold. And what I'm showing you here is the 1 hour time frames on the futures, which I have stuck with for the better part of 8 years. And it's done pretty goddamn good for me. You're getting oversold over here on the futures as you were already oversold yesterday, and you got your little bounce, and then you sold down even more. Oversold on your futures, that's what it is. Come over on to your broader picture, which I will move on to here in a second. And there we go. Bang, and restore sells. And here you go with your Dow Jones, or sorry, your SPX having gotten extremely oversold yesterday into 1 o'clock. Got your little bounce back up there to, as you know, 59.86 or 59.68 and failing into the close. Over here on your NDX, extremely oversold as you were heading into the end of the day, and you sold off a little bit more. Come over here onto your Dow and your 1 hour again, oversold, oversold, oversold. Been oversold all week on the Russell 2000, and the Russell 2000 doesn't give two shits because it is the shitty Russell 2000, and that's the reason why it's been selling off. So here we go. Come over onto the SPX. The gap from a week ago, 1 week ago, over there on Thursday, will be filled as we open up. I was wrong what I posted there in the room. I will go over there and correct it. I will correct it. It is not the Trump gap. It is the Friday gap from last week, which has completely filled. So we are down here just below 59.22. 59.19 at the moment, and again, oversold. Look at this from a default point of view, trying to track where the dip is going, and as you can see here very clearly, a nice AB with the C being there at the 100, and a little bit further down, we should be looking at right there around that 59.20 area. Filling the gap from last week, holding above that 59.05. As long as we're holding above that 59.05, 58.95, all this was the OPEX week, full moon, low being placed as we head into the seasonally boring Thanksgiving period with NVIDIA reporting earnings next week. Come over here onto the VIX, and oh, look, we got a big gap up on the VIX, but unfortunately, the VIX loves to sell off on Fridays. Here you are going into 3 o'clock, even though the market has been selling off. Let's go in here on a 1 minute, just so we can see this very clearly. The market was selling off all day after failing there. Let's go on to my chart so you can see it very clear. Boom, 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 failing 59.86, failed 59.86, holding the 5-day, rejecting on the 5-day, failed 59.68 as we came in here into the 12 o'clock portion of the day. Started coming down on 59.60, looking to find some support there. A break above 59.68, looking good going into 3 o'clock. And then the fucking mask came off. That's why you don't overexpose yourself when we're talking about those risk trades. Looking at the same time frame over here, as you can see, the VIX having nothing to do with any of that. Into 3 o'clock down here into the 1359 with a gap still to be filled down there below with that big 1339 pivot below and a little fractional move to 14 and then again selling back off. There's no fear. There is no fear whatsoever when terms of options. The puts are not being loaded by anybody. Today being Friday, the VIX loves to sell off on a Friday, so I would not hold my breath and expect the VIX to be shooting back up to that 200-day moving average and the big Trump gap well up above there, above into the 16s. Come over onto your QQQ. And again, QQQ, I need to update the post in the alert room because it is not the Trump gap that is filled. It is the gap from last week, Friday, which is filled. That's it. Nothing more. Was that Friday? I apologize. That was on this being the 6th, this being the 7th, this being the Trump trade over here. The gap from last week has filled. It is not the Trump gap. And we are just fractionally down there at 504. Again, with this having been 4 red days in a row. 4. And we bring that back up. 4 red days in a row with the close yesterday being 508.69. Your high risk trade for today will be looking at the QQQ to reclaim that 508.69 area, understanding very clearly that 510 has your resistance just above it. Move on over to the IWM. And again, on the IWM, there was no gap from last week, Thursday. What you have is your Trump gap. And the Trump gap has been entered into. You have gotten into the Trump gap. And this is something I can't answer to. I can't give you an answer to this. Okay, but we will look at this. I believe I have it on the default. I do have it on the default. We're looking here at an AB, 1-2, and looking for somewhere around that 230 maximum for the downside over here on the IWM. With it already being oversold and it being Friday, I would have my heart set on that 234 area. Hope and wish for 235 as much as you want. On the DIA having completely made its move off of 1933, finished. DIA still has some downside to go, but again, on DIA, there is nothing to discuss here with no gaps after trolling most of last week. No gaps to be filled, nothing to even be screaming and hollering about until you're down below 420. And that Trump gap, that ain't getting filled anytime soon. Not right now. So I bring you on to the DXY. And again, here is your DXY coming off of, well, back here. Well, back here. Let's go back. Here's your DXY coming off of the January 2022 SPX all-time high. And your move as inflation continued to show itself and rate hikes were coming from everywhere, how it topped just prior to the market topping or bottoming in October of 2022. Here we are breaking out in 1-year highs due to tests, your highs from October of last year, 2023, as we had our major sell-off on the July into October, 3 red months in a row over there on the SPX. And we're sitting here breaking that out. And again, you come over onto your TLT. You go over here, have your look at your 88.78. You are pushing down into a way where you are sitting here screaming and hollering, inflation, rate hikes, rate cuts are done, but the market doesn't give a shit, like I said, because you're heading into the end of the year. Why would you sell your stock now unless you're Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, and all of these other 13F filers that are hitting yesterday, when you'd have to pay tax on it next year, when you could just sell it in January, very identical to 2022, and you don't have to pay tax on it until 2026. So here we are on the Russell. Like I said, on the Russell over here, this is very weird. It's very odd that the Trump gap is way down here at 2301, 2261. When you look over on your IWM, which I'm not going to scroll you through, it was already there. You look over on your IWM, and your IWM is already into the Trump gap. So again, just something odd. I can't give you an answer to. I don't have an answer to it, but like I said, bringing you over onto the final slide that I will share with you is looking over here at your 4 hour, and these are your 4 hours and these are your RSIs, and this is your Russell 2000 4 hour down here at 29, very much due to be down here below 20 with the gap down that we have. This is your Dow Jones down at 42 yesterday. This, again, will be down somewhere into the 30s, not completely oversold, but you are going to be getting down into an oversold level. Here's your SPX with the 25, 30 point gap down that we're working on right now. This will be entering into oversold. And here is your NDX, which is already threatening to be oversold on your 4 hour and due to embark into that oversold warning level on the big 4 hour time frame. So again, guys, I wear my heart on my sleeve because I give a shit about you. You're all adults. You're not children. Nobody gives a shit about you. I do. You might think that people give a shit about you, but they only give a shit about you as long as you produce or you provide. I'm here to help you be that on your own, so that when I'm gone, you can do this successfully. And you can do this with a group of your colleagues that are also able to do this. So collectively, you can all lift your middle finger to everyone around you and say, fuck you. I'm independent, I made it, and I don't fucking need you. Have a great weekend. Love every one of you. A couple of you are questionable, but anyway, you get the point. Enjoy yourselves.
That as humans, without exception, we struggle with mortality. I even go so far as to say that I think our human existence is a prank on us because we only have one instinct, which is to survive, and we only have one guarantee, which is we won't. That's probably the main reason why they have children, because they want part of them to live on, to have a legacy. And other people turn to religion to say that even though you're going to die, you're going to go to heaven where everything's going to be great. And neither of those two really worked for me. So I fall into the third category I identify with, which is those who leave stuff behind to be remembered by. And, I point to cavemen who would draw stick figures on the wall in the cave, evidently because they knew those stick figures would outlive them.